The velvet rope, a mere strand of material, has always been a powerful symbol. It separates the chosen from the excluded, the elite from the aspiring. For Vanessa, that rope once represented her kingdom. She was the undisputed queen of the city's most exclusive nightclub, the Sovereign. Her reputation was built on an uncanny ability to curate an atmosphere of glamour and allure, drawing in the city's most influential and wealthy. Every night, the Sovereign pulsed with an energy she meticulously crafted, a symphony of music, laughter, and clinking glasses. Vanessa, with her sharp wit and even sharper business acumen, moved through the opulent space like a monarch, her presence commanding respect and admiration. She knew every regular by name, understood their preferences, and anticipated their desires. The Sovereign wasn't just a club. It was an extension of her own formidable personality, a testament to her vision and tireless dedication. But even queens can fall, and Vanessa's reign, once seemingly unshakable, was brought crashing down by the insidious power of a whisper, a malicious campaign orchestrated by a woman who envied her light. Before we delve into the intricate web of deceit and the meticulously planned corporate revenge that followed, I invite you to subscribe to Story Club Official. Join our community of listeners who crave emotionally rich narratives, hidden family secrets, and life-changing revelations. Your support helps us bring more captivating stories like Vanessa's to life. Now, let us return to the dark turn Vanessa's life took. The architect of Vanessa's downfall was Evelyn Hayes, the wife of Richard Hayes, a titan of industry and the CEO of a vast corporate empire. Evelyn, a woman whose wealth afforded her an illusion of unearned superiority, frequented the Sovereign, not for the joy of the night, but to bask in the reflected glow of its exclusivity. She saw Vanessa, a woman who had built her empire from the ground up, as an affront, a reminder that true power wasn't always inherited. The initial friction was subtle, a disdainful glance here, a dismissive comment there. But Evelyn's resentment festered, growing into a toxic obsession. Her weapon of choice was gossip, a weapon often underestimated but devastatingly effective. She began to subtly plant seeds of doubt about Vanessa's character, her business practices, and even her personal life, among her influential social circle. These whispers, like a relentless tide, began to erode Vanessa's carefully constructed reputation. Clients started canceling, bookings dwindled, and the vibrant energy of the Sovereign began to dim. Vanessa, accustomed to navigating the cutthroat world of nightlife, initially dismissed the rumors as petty jealousy. She underestimated Evelyn's reach and her insidious determination to destroy her. The whispers escalated, becoming louder, more malicious. Evelyn, with her husband's vast resources at her disposal, ensured that the rumors reached the ears of key investors, suppliers, and even the local licensing board. False accusations of financial impropriety, illicit activities, and even personal misconduct began to circulate like wildfire. Vanessa fought back with every fiber of her being, but Evelyn's network was too vast, her influence too pervasive. The once loyal clientele, swayed by the relentless negativity and fearing association with the tainted establishment, began to abandon the Sovereign. The club, once a beacon of luxury and excitement, became a shadow of its former self. The financial strain was immense, and despite Vanessa's desperate attempts to salvage her business, the damage was irreparable. The Sovereign, her life's work, was forced to close its doors. The humiliation was profound, a public dismantling of her dreams and her identity. Vanessa, once the queen, was stripped of her crown and cast out of her kingdom. The aftermath was a period of profound despair for Vanessa. She lost everything: her business, her reputation, and a significant portion of her savings. The vibrant, confident woman who once commanded attention was replaced by a shell of her former self, burdened by the weight of public scorn and personal failure. The city, once her stage, became a constant reminder of her downfall. She tried to rebuild, to start anew, but Evelyn's shadow seemed to follow her everywhere. Every door she knocked on remained closed. Every opportunity seemed to vanish. The trauma of her public humiliation left deep scars, fostering a burning desire for retribution that simmered beneath the surface of her quiet existence. She was forced to take a job as staff, a waitress at a new trendy club that had sprung up in the vacuum left by the sovereign's demise. The irony was a cruel twist of fate. It was a stark contrast to her former life, a daily reminder of how far she had fallen. The once celebrated entrepreneur found herself serving drinks, clearing tables, and enduring the silent judgment of patrons who vaguely recognized her. Then one evening a familiar, chilling laugh echoed through the club. Evelyn Hayes, resplendent in designer clothes and dripping with diamonds, swept in with her entourage. The new club, the Oasis, had quickly become the new darling of the city's elite, and Evelyn, naturally, had claimed it as her new social playground. Vanessa watched from behind the bar, her heart a cold knot of fury. Evelyn, oblivious to Vanessa's presence or perhaps relishing it, held court, her voice carrying across the room, full of self-importance and thinly veiled malice. Vanessa, forced to serve the very woman who had destroyed her, felt a surge of pure, unadulterated rage. Each interaction was a fresh wound, a deliberate act of humiliation. Evelyn, with a smug smile, would often make subtle, cutting remarks, disguised as pleasantries about Vanessa's new career path, or how some people just aren't cut out for management. The daily torment was a crucible, forging Vanessa's resolve into something harder, sharper. She endured, she observed, and she planned. During her time as staff at the Oasis, Vanessa became intimately familiar with the club's inner workings. She learned the rhythms of its operations, the strengths and weaknesses of its management, and the habits of its most influential patrons. She discovered that the Oasis, while outwardly successful, had underlying vulnerabilities. Its owner, a flamboyant but financially reckless entrepreneur named Marcus Thorne, had overextended himself with a series of ill-advised investments. He was constantly on the brink of financial collapse, propped up by a precarious network of loans and silent partners. Vanessa, with her sharp mind and years of experience in the industry, saw the cracks in the facade. She also began to notice Evelyn's growing influence within the Oasis. Evelyn, not content with merely frequenting the club, was subtly maneuvering to exert more control, offering advice to Marcus that often benefited her own social agenda rather than the club's bottom line. She saw the Oasis as her personal fiefdom, a place where she could continue to solidify her social standing and, more importantly, maintain her perceived dominance over anyone she deemed a threat. Vanessa, fueled by her desire for justice, began to meticulously gather information. She listened to whispered conversations, observed financial discrepancies, and pieced together the fragments of Marcus Thorne's increasingly desperate situation. She discovered that Marcus had taken out a substantial loan from a shadowy investment group, collateralizing the club itself. The terms of the loan were predatory, designed to ensnare him in a web of debt. It was a high-risk gamble, and Marcus, blinded by his ambition, had walked right into the trap. Vanessa also cultivated relationships with other staff members, earning their trust and subtly extracting information about the club's operations, its financial health, and the increasingly erratic behavior of Marcus Thorne. She learned about his late-night calls, his hushed meetings with unfamiliar individuals, and the growing tension among the club's senior management. The more she learned, the clearer the picture became. The Oasis was a ticking time bomb, ripe for a hostile takeover. The thought of revenge, once a distant fantasy, began to solidify into a concrete plan. Vanessa understood that simply exposing Evelyn's past actions wouldn't be enough. She needed to dismantle Evelyn's power structure, to strike at the very heart of her perceived invincibility, and that meant taking control of the Oasis. She knew she couldn't do it alone. She needed allies, people who shared her vision and her understanding of the cutthroat world of business. She began to discreetly reach out to old contacts, Individuals who had once admired her business acumen and who had felt the sting of Evelyn's influence in various ways. These were not people who would openly defy Evelyn or her husband, but individuals who were willing to operate in the shadows, driven by their own grievances or by the promise of significant financial gain. Her first key ally was David Chin, a brilliant but disgraced financial analyst who had once worked for Richard Hayes's company. David had been unfairly scapegoated for a minor financial irregularity that Evelyn had orchestrated to protect one of her own protégés. He carried a deep-seated resentment against the Hayes family and possessed an encyclopedic knowledge of corporate finance and legal loopholes. Vanessa presented him with her audacious plan, and he, seeing an opportunity for personal redemption and a chance to strike back at his former tormentors, eagerly agreed to join her. David's expertise was invaluable. He helped Vanessa understand the complex financial instruments involved in Marcus Thorne's loans and identified the shell company that held the majority of the Oasis's debt. This shell company, Phoenix Holdings, was a labyrinthine entity designed to obscure its true ownership. David, with his forensic accounting skills, began to unravel its intricate layers. Next, Vanessa approached Sarah Jenkins, a formidable corporate lawyer who had once represented the sovereign. Sarah had witnessed firsthand the devastating impact of Evelyn's whisper campaign on Vanessa, and had always harbored a quiet admiration for Vanessa's resilience. Sarah, known for her sharp legal mind and her unwavering commitment to justice, was initially hesitant. The risks were enormous, and the Hayes family's legal team was legendary. However, Vanessa's unwavering conviction and the compelling evidence of Evelyn's malicious actions swayed Sarah. She recognized the potential for a groundbreaking case, one that could not only bring Evelyn to justice but also set a precedent for corporate accountability. Sarah's role was crucial. She began to meticulously research corporate takeover laws, identifying every legal leverage point and every potential pitfall. She advised Vanessa on how to structure her shell company, how to acquire the necessary shares, and how to prepare for the inevitable legal battles that would ensue. With David and Sarah by her side, Vanessa began the painstaking process of acquiring the debt and shares of the Oasis. They formed a new shell company, Ascend Group, a deliberate nod to Vanessa's journey from the depths of despair to the precipice of triumph. Ascend Group, funded by Vanessa's remaining savings and the investments of her silent partners, began to quietly buy up the distressed debt of the Oasis. The process was slow, clandestine, and fraught with risk. They had to operate under the radar, ensuring that neither Marcus Thorne nor Evelyn Hayes suspected their true intentions. David meticulously navigated the complex financial markets, acquiring fragments of the debt from various creditors, ensuring that no single transaction raised any red flags. Sarah, meanwhile, drafted a series of airtight legal agreements, protecting Ascend Group's interests and preparing for the inevitable legal challenges that would arise once their plan was revealed. The key to their strategy was the acquisition of the majority of the Oasis's outstanding debt. Once Ascend Group held a controlling stake in the club's liabilities, they would be in a position to force a default, triggering a clause in Marcus Thorne's loan agreement that would allow them to seize control of the club. It was a high-stakes gamble, but Vanessa, having lost everything once, was no longer afraid of risk. She spent countless nights poring over financial statements, legal documents, and market analyses. She meticulously reviewed every detail, anticipating every possible countermove from Evelyn and Richard Hayes. The experience of working as staff at the Oasis proved invaluable. Her intimate knowledge of the club's operations, its clientele, and its vulnerabilities allowed her to fine-tune her takeover strategy, identifying additional leverage points that David and Sarah might have overlooked. She knew the club's busiest nights, its most profitable ventures, and its most vulnerable points of failure. The acquisition of the debt was a delicate dance spanning several months. Each step was calculated, each move precise. They faced numerous obstacles, including attempts by other opportunistic investors to acquire portions of Marcus Thorne's debt. But Vanessa, with David's financial wizardry and Sarah's legal prowess, outmaneuvered every competitor. They created a complex web of transactions, making it virtually impossible for anyone to trace the true ownership of Ascend Group or its ultimate objective. The tension was palpable, a constant hum of anticipation and anxiety. Vanessa, however, remained resolute. Her focus was unwavering, her determination unyielding. She saw Evelyn Hayes at the Oasis almost every night, her laughter and self-important pronouncements a constant reminder of the injustice she had suffered. Each encounter fueled Vanessa's resolve, solidifying her commitment to her audacious plan. Finally, the day arrived when Ascend Group held the majority of the Oasis's debt. The legal leverage was secured, the pieces were in place. Vanessa, David, and Sarah met in a nondescript office, the air thick with anticipation. The moment of truth was imminent. Sarah, with a grim but determined expression, outlined the final steps. They would serve Marcus Thorne with a notice of default, demanding immediate repayment of the entire outstanding loan. When he inevitably failed to meet the demand, Ascend Group would initiate the process of seizing control of the Oasis. The legal battle would be fierce, but Sarah was confident in their position. They had meticulously documented every transaction, every legal clause, every detail. The following week, a team of lawyers led by Sarah Jenkins descended upon the Oasis. Marcus Thorne, initially bewildered, quickly turned pale as the reality of the situation dawned on him. He frantically called his own lawyers, but it was too late. The legal documents were ironclad, the evidence of his default undeniable. The news sent shockwaves through the city's elite. The Oasis, the darling of the social scene, was in the midst of a hostile takeover. Evelyn Hayes, upon hearing the news, was incandescent with rage. She immediately suspected a conspiracy, but she had no idea of the true identity of the orchestrator. She ordered her husband, Richard Hayes, to deploy his formidable legal team to fight the takeover, but even their resources and influence were no match for the meticulous planning and legal leverage that Vanessa, David, and Sarah had meticulously assembled. The legal battle was intense, but ultimately futile for Marcus Thorne and the Hayes family. Ascend Group's position was unassailable. The court ruled in their favor, granting them full control of the Oasis. The news hit the social pages like a bombshell, but the identity of Ascend Group's owner remained a tantalizing mystery, adding to the intrigue. The stage was set for Vanessa's grand reveal. She had waited for this moment, carefully choosing the perfect timing, the perfect setting. It was a Saturday night, the busiest night at the Oasis, the club overflowing with the city's most influential and wealthy, including, of course, Evelyn Hayes and her entourage. Vanessa, no longer in her staff uniform, walked into the Oasis. She was dressed in a stunning custom-made gown, her posture regal, her eyes alight with a quiet triumph. She moved through the club with an air of understated power, a stark contrast to the quiet, unassuming figure she had been for so long. Heads turned, whispers spread as people recognized the woman who had once been the queen of the Sovereign. Evelyn, from her usual VIP booth, saw Vanessa enter. Her face, usually a mask of haughty confidence, contorted into a mixture of disbelief and growing unease. She watched, her eyes narrowed, as Vanessa walked directly towards the DJ booth, a place of prominence usually reserved for the night's entertainment. The music, a pulsing electronic beat, slowly faded, replaced by a sudden, expectant silence. Vanessa took the microphone, a subtle smile playing on her lips. Her voice, calm and resonant, filled the now hushed club. "Good evening, everyone," she began, her gaze sweeping across the room, finally resting on Evelyn Hayes. "Many of you know me. Some of you, perhaps, remember me from a different time, a different place. My name is Vanessa." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Evelyn's face was a study in pure shock, her jaw slack, her eyes wide with dawning horror. Vanessa continued, her voice gaining strength. For those of you who are unaware as of this evening, I am the proud new owner of the oasis. Another wave of murmurs, louder this time, swept through the club. The revelation hung in the air, a palpable force. Vanessa then looked directly at Evelyn Hayes, her eyes holding a lifetime of pain and a triumphant gleam. And to you, Evelyn, she said, her voice dripping with a carefully controlled sweetness, I have a special announcement. As the new owner, I have the distinct privilege of setting the club's policies. And effective immediately, your membership to this club and your presence within it are hereby revoked. A stunned silence descended upon the club, broken only by the sharp intake of breath from various patrons. Evelyn, her face crimson with fury and humiliation, tried to protest, but her words caught in her throat. Her carefully constructed world, her illusion of power, was crumbling around her. Security, Vanessa commanded, her voice firm and unwavering. Please escort Mrs. Hayes and her party off the premises. Two burly security guards, their faces impassive, approached Evelyn's booth. Evelyn, sputtering with indignation, finally found her voice. You can't do this. Do you know who I am? She shrieked. But her words held no power in the face of Vanessa's newfound authority. Vanessa simply smiled, a genuine, unburdened smile. Oh, I know exactly who you are, Evelyn, she said, her voice soft but laced with steel. And now everyone else does too. As Evelyn was unceremoniously escorted out, her protests fading into the night, a ripple of applause erupted, slowly building into a crescendo. The crowd, sensing the poetic justice of the moment, cheered for Vanessa, the queen who had reclaimed her throne. Vanessa then addressed the stunned but captivated audience. This club, formerly the Oasis, will undergo a transformation, she announced. It will once again be a place of true elegance, genuine hospitality, and unadulterated joy. It will be a place where reputation is earned, not bought. And it will be a place where everyone, regardless of their social standing, is treated with respect. She paused, allowing her words to sink in. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sovereign. By Sovereign. The announcement was met with thunderous applause and a sense of exhilaration. The energy in the club shifted, a palpable sense of renewed excitement and anticipation. The whispers that followed were no longer malicious, but filled with admiration and awe for Vanessa's audacious triumph. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Vanessa, with David and Sarah by her side, meticulously rebranded and renovated the club. The Sovereign, reborn from the ashes of its predecessor, quickly regained its former glory and even surpassed it. Vanessa implemented new policies, prioritizing staff welfare, fostering an inclusive atmosphere, and ensuring that the club remained a vibrant hub of genuine entertainment. Evelyn Hayes, stripped of her social standing and publicly humiliated, retreated from the public eye. Her husband, Richard Hayes, faced intense scrutiny and public backlash for his wife's past actions, which had been exposed during the takeover. The Hayes family's reputation, once unblemished, was irrevocably tarnished. Vanessa's story became a legend in the city, a testament to resilience, strategic brilliance, and the enduring power of justice. She had not only reclaimed her kingdom but had also redefined what it meant to be a true queen. She proved that true power lay not in inherited wealth or social status, but in integrity, determination, and the courage to fight for what was right. The velvet rope, once a symbol of exclusion, now represented a new era for the Sovereign, an era where merit, not malice, reigned supreme. Vanessa, the nightclub queen, had returned, stronger and more formidable than ever. Her journey, from the depths of despair to the pinnacle of triumph, served as a powerful reminder that even the most devastating setbacks can be transformed into opportunities for the most spectacular comebacks. This captivating tale of corporate revenge and ultimate redemption is just one of many stories we explore here at Story Club Official. If you found yourself drawn into Vanessa's journey, if you felt the sting of her humiliation and the thrill of her triumph, then you belong with us. Don't miss out on more narratives that delve into family mysteries, hidden inheritances, secret wills, and life-changing revelations. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and become a part of our growing community. We promise you a continuous stream of emotionally rich and deeply engaging audio stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat, pondering the profound complexities of human experience. Join Story Club Official today and never miss a moment of intrigue and revelation.